Hello everybody and welcome to another Stellaris video. Today I'm pretty excited to show you guys Knights of the Toxic God, an updated guide. Knights videos typically do really well on my channel, and it's also one of the funnest builds to play. I would highly recommend it both if you like role-playing and if you like strong meta builds. Knights is essentially so powerful that you can outscale any build in the entire game, with the only weakness is that you're not very strong in the kind of year 30 to 40 range where a lot of other builds aim to be powerful. However, if left untouched, like you do in most single-player games, Knights will outscale everything with the extreme amount of tech output that it gets from just a single habitat. And in addition to that, we're going to show some very cool mechanics to be kind of self-sufficient Knights, where the Knights can even produce trade via Megacorp, and even though you could have more efficient Knights with other methods, this one is still quite fun indeed. So, with that being said, we're going to start with any three ethics that aren't A, Fanatic, and B, Spiritualist. The reason why we don't want to be Spiritualist, where Spiritualist is usually extremely strong, is we need to reform into a Megacorp at some point and find the auto-curating Vault Tech, which cannot be found as a Spiritualist. And for our species traits, we're going to go with this really funny build where we take both Chromalogs and Cranial Megatrophy. The reason we're taking these is we're going to be working basically no basic worker jobs in this entire empire, meaning we don't get any downsides from Cranial Megatrophy, and Chromalogs is also a great 4-cost trait that increases the efficiency of our bureaucrats, which are our knights. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, one thing we're going to do is I'm not going to be playing this on the Ultra Challenge mode, which is in my normal Empire selections. I have these 6 purifiers from my previous video. We're not going to be playing with that today. Although Knights could probably survive it by taking Unyielding, I don't want to get a bad spawn and just get wiped out. And we're just going to be playing with an otherwise pretty standard galaxy on Iron Man mode with difficulty adjusted tech modifiers off and 0.75 tech in Unity. I'm thinking of turning these back up to 1 now, as more multiplayer lobbies than not have moved back up to 1 tech and tradition costs, so that could definitely be a possibility as well. But we're going to stick to 0.75 for now, as most of my videos are done on that, so I'd just like to keep it consistent. And let's take a look at the spawn we get. We spawn next to our 2 guarantees, which is a nice touch. However, I'm going to survey Barnard's Star first, of anything, as I'm trying to look. One of these systems will have a 2 alloy deposit, which is the system I want to take first overall. And for our other things, we're just going to take some generic techs. We don't need to focus on anything too specific in the early game. What we're going to do first is Hydroponics Farming Bay. Hydroponics Farming Bay will help us get to positive food. As you can see, we start on negative food, and we're going to go Isolationist for that Unity min-max, and a militarized economy as we normally would, or as we normally wouldn't, my apologies, as Knights are super hungry for alloys, and if you don't have an alloy boosting job, you're typically going to run out of alloys pretty quickly, especially if we go with the generous funding on the quest situation, where we're definitely going to do that. So, in case you've never played Knights before, a quick rundown of how it works is essentially this. You start off with a habitat, and this very powerful job called a Knight. They produce tech, unity, and naval capacity at the cost of alloy upkeep, which is quite expensive. However, as you complete quest events, you get more and more efficiency modifiers to the Knights, specifically base outputs, increase, making them eventually the most overpowered job in all of Stellaris. However, the downside is you start with a very weak early economy. As you can see, we're starting with a negative alloy output and not doing too well in other resources. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started and start actually playing the game and not just doing nothing. So we're going to start by buying a strong amount of minerals. We're losing trade right now, but that's okay because very soon we're going to be positive trade once we take adaptive economic policies. Basically, the first thing we want to do is we want to swap our mixed industry to a alloy industry. But before we do that, we want to build an orders hall. So there's kind of like a chain of operations here that we want to follow. And not too soon after the start, but not at the very beginning, we want to go ahead and swap over to Utopian Abundance as well for that extra influx of Unity. And we can even sell some consumer goods, sell off some extra food, and just purchase some extra minerals to get this orders haul started as soon as possible. I forget exactly how much it costs, 850. So we'll just wait one more month to pass, and we'll go ahead and get started on this order haul. So basically, essentially, by starting with functional architecture and parliamentary system, we can immediately start building the second order haul as the side effect of having a functional architecture, which makes it so that you can get the most night jobs very efficiently just by building these orders building sections on your habitat, which is very, very nice. On your homeworld, in the meantime, we're going to want to focus our homeworld on basically just alloys. And in order to do that, we're going to use the trade policy of consumer benefits instead of our normal thing of Unity production, just because otherwise this basic economy will not be sustainable in basically any way. And we're also going to take trickle-up economics. This will finally give us a pretty solid baseline economy to start working with. And now we can go ahead and swap this over to a heavy industry as soon as we can. There is definitely a lot of stuff to manage. As you can see, we don't have enough consumer goods. I think the smarter way to do this is actually build an alloy foundry first, and then we can go ahead and swap this once we, get some consumer goods built up as well. Because we're going to need some more consumer goods as well. We're probably going to try to get those via turning this into a commercial zone. So yeah, at the beginning of the game, your basic resources and alloys and such are very, very constrained. Which is one of the main challenges of Knights. And we can even sell off some more food here, probably sell off some excess energy, and just buy up enough alloys so that I can take Barnard's Star and get this 2 alloy deposit, because even a small deposit like this is going to be pretty significant for our early game economy. Let's go ahead and sell some more energy credits. I know this feels blasphemous given I'm only making +4, but I think it's worth it overall. Let's also adopt commercial enterprise to give ourselves just a few extra jobs from this commercial zone, and maybe it'll push us more positive in the consumer goods department. But yeah, overall, you guys can definitely tell that the early game economy of Knights is definitely one of the biggest challenges. And since this video is going to be really long, it's going to be a most clicks guide. I'm going to show me playing through most of the game. Until we get to probably the end of the quest and slay the toxic god. That's probably when I'll stop this video. I'm going to include a document in the description on the actions I take to play through this build, so that in case you don't want to follow the whole video, although I would obviously recommend it, you can go ahead and just copy the build guide from there. So yeah, anyhow, for our first tradition pick, there are a lot of options, but I'm going to go Tech Ascendancy here because it's going to be one I'm going to want for the late game, and I want to do something very specific here, which is I want to go Computing, Physics Focus, and Society. I want to go Statecraft. This will give us the best possible chance of finding the auto-curating vault technologies, and yeah, we just kind of have to pray, which is going to be it's going to be difficult for sure. And I think what we're going to want to do here now is probably go commercial zone to build up an excess of consumer goods. Oh no, we need more alloys first, don't we? Okay, I guess we'll go second alloy foundry. Oh no, we're positive alloys now. Okay, perfect. That will be just enough for us to wait for the consumer goods fix first. And yeah, as you can see, there's just a big list of things that you need to do in the early game that you can't quite afford. So what we are going to do is we're definitely going to put this trade focus leader in. But yeah, we're just kind of waiting on our basic economy to catch up to the point so that we can actually build our buildings and such the way we want to. In the meantime, right, surveying stars near us, not too hard. I would love to build this capital up, but of course, no alloys. So yeah, make sure not to crash your basic economy, because going negative on anything is never really worth it. Let's also go back too fast because I just didn't want to go negative by accident whilst not paying attention. You can actually start the orbital habitat technology if you want early on, but I like to pass a few engineering techs first, just because some of the earlier ones are quite useful. I don't have any specific goals. I just kind of click it when I feel like it. Obviously, it could be more thought out than that, but I haven't thought it out that far, because you don't get to play Knights every single day in in competitive lobbies. And even though I don't play very many competitive lobbies anymore, um, like a lot of the builds where I have more practice with are ones that used to be played a lot in competitive lobbies. Anyhow, let me go ahead and take something else here. There's kind of two great options, Statecraft and what am I trying to say? And Discovery. Discovery is really great because of this minus 20% upkeep from researchers, and your knights do count as researchers. And Unyielding is really nice because Resistance is Fugal gives you a little bit of extra Unity. And since Unity is going to be a relatively large constraint for us at this stage of the game, I do want to go ahead and make sure we don't have any problems with the Unity. And therefore, we're going to go ahead and open this. And then we're now going to dip into Discovery and try to get to Faith in Science. You can also take Prosperity. I haven't quite worked out exactly which one is better. Prosperity has the better agenda. But we can just take Prosperity for the agenda during our Ascension, or something like that, because this build will eventually overproduce in Unity. And when that happens, well, of course, you don't have any more Unity problems, so that's fantastic. As you can see, we now have no more consumer goods issues. We now have some extra trade as well, which we can use to buy a small trickle of alloys. And then once we have that small trickle of alloys going, and we can just bulk buy some trade here, we can finally start to farm more and more Knights jobs. Yeah, the previous time I played this build, it was in the funny Shroud Shaper meta, and that was definitely a entirely different build than the one I'm going to show today. And not entirely different, there are some similarities. But we're definitely not going to be focusing on the ultra late game. We're going to focus on a build that aims to scale probably for like year 40 or 50, which is not our latest, but also not the earliest. If you want to play a more early game version focused of Knights, you probably need to start with something like Anglers so that you can actually have an alloy economy by year 30. Like, you might need to start something as sad as Angler's Catalytic, just to give yourself the alloy income in the early game to build up your habitat faster, and that kind of thing, which means you're going to ascend slower, which means you'll ultimately scale up later, but you'll just be a little bit stronger at year 30, because this build will probably end up ascending just before year 30, meaning you don't get much benefit from it. You probably need at least a decade after Ascension before you really start to scale up and feel all the good benefits of that. And one thing I haven't done that we probably should be doing is just looking for spare planets. Knights is very not planet hungry, which is one of my favorite parts about it. You realistically only need your guarantees because you're going to run one of your worlds for consumer goods, one of your worlds for alloys, and one of them for trade, and that's basically it. And then your fortress doubles as tech and naval capacity. It's super, super efficient. And architectural interest is fantastic. This is the best combination you can get. One architectural interest and one trade focus. Then you just want to level up those traits whenever you get the chance. So that's a fantastic leader role there. And now in the meantime, we can just go ahead and finally focus on converting this capital to what we wanted in the very beginning. Of course, I'm a little bit late because I've been talking, which is heavy industry commercial zone. And then on our habitat, we're just going to keep clicking this button basically whenever it's available. And another thing you might have noticed that I'm doing is I have not taken my guarantees. There's a very good reason for this, is you simply do not need to take them. They provide basically zero pop growth unless you migrate pops over there manually. And since we're not doing that, we don't need to, right? Like, all we need to do instead is focus on our capital and our habitat here. And you'll eventually, because you start with these two planets with a decent amount of pops on both, is you very quickly get higher pop growth than a single planet, which is pretty nice. One thing also we need to do here, I believe, is I want to enable resettlement. So let's go ahead and enable resettlement. And now, yeah, we can just freely kind of pile up more and more pops here and basically just get them ready for filling into these Knights jobs. We never want the Knights jobs to be waiting for anything like that. So, yeah. Also, as you can see, whenever you get to negative consumer goods, just click City District. You always need more alloys. Plus 17 alloys seems pretty solid for the super early game, Continental World, and Wankwort. The funny thing is, right, we don't need Wankwort at all. But it would be nice to have the option of colonizing those planets if we like, right? So we're just going to go ahead and take that. We are also going to, when we can afford it, we're going to build a star base in some of these systems and use those for basic economy as well, because that is obviously not the strength of knights, so it is always good to build a little bit of extra of that. But yeah, thanks to this architectural interest leader, we're going to be doing fantastic compared to test runs where I played without it. So that is going to be great as well. As you can see, the basic economy at this point is not too bad, right? We even can build some extra commercial zones and stuff if we want to. If we're running out of consumer goods, we go commercial zone, basically. And if we're running out of alloys, we build either a heavy industry building like an alloy foundry or just a city district. So that's kind of the play style. You know, we just click these two buttons. We don't need to force anything else, and we do colonize any star bases that we think are super valuable. And wow, we're getting the quest reward already. Oh no, not quite. We need to get to here before we get any significant quest reward. So what we're going to take next is we're going to take Defensive Zeal and Fortress Doctrine, and then we're going to start to build star bases everywhere that are, the goal of them would be to produce basic economy. As you can see, you have quite a bit of star base capacity from Knights. To be honest, I don't know what it's from. Is it from the origin? Is it from something else? I have no idea. Let me take a look. Does it say? From Unyielding. Ah, I see. And I believe we should get more. Yeah, to be honest, I completely forgot that Unyielding even gave you more starbase capacity, but it completely makes sense. So yeah, that's really nice. Biolab, we're just going to take really cheap society techs. Nothing too special there. And yeah, I think at this point, like, how much Unity are we making? 211. Like, as you can see, this is an okay amount of Unity, but it's not mind-blowing. And if you're playing on 1x Unity, I would highly recommend doing the following. So for your quest rewards, basically every time you see science as an option, you're going to want to take science. The problem is it takes you forever to ascend on 1x Unity with Knight's Unity production, which is good but not amazing. But without Fanatic Spiritualist, we're just not going to get there very quickly. So you actually want to take Unity as the first thing for your habitats, which is a little bit, it feels bad for the ultra late game. So I ultimately wouldn't recommend it. You can ascend like 4 or 5 years faster, but to sacrifice the late game kind of dream of Knights is not worth it, right? Because at the end of the day, we're playing Knights for that ultra late game. We're not playing Knights to be a year 30 powerhouse. Although by year 50, you should probably be a powerhouse if you don't make any big mistakes, which is also definitely possible, and I have done so in the past. Yeah, we're going to do a pretty funny transition in the mid-game of our economy to a megacorp, and I've definitely messed it up a couple times, as I often forget that you need a source of consumer goods in order to make it work. So, anyways, like, that's enough blabbing for now. Let's just go ahead and play our current game. Let's see how are we doing so far. We're doing fine. One thing we got to be careful of is we're coming up on our first election, so let's slow down time as we do that. And also, we can start building our star bases now. Basically, once we have this, it makes these half off. Once you have the Fortress Doctrine, and yeah, half off star bases makes them a great deal for supplying your basic economy with stuff. So, a Tocton monument, nice. And here's our first election. I'm gonna go check who my main leader is. They are Prime Minister Fatiara. So we want anyone except them to win. So we're gonna level up our head of research here. And note this is very important. Do not level up the leader. It'll increase the support for them. So we're gonna wait until the election finishes before we level up our leader. And then we can reform out a parliamentary system. I almost did it. Like, whenever I see a notification, I go to try to click it, but we got to avoid that feeling right now, and yeah, persevere. So what we're gonna do also is we're gonna go with the commercial zone here. As you can see, we're still negative on consumer goods, but very positive on alloys at this point. So city districts probably isn't what we want. And yeah, instead we're gonna go ahead and use some of these alloys to start building up these star bases. And yeah, we also have gotten really poor luck, I would say, for resources from space, which kind of sucks. Sometimes you can get a lot of minerals and stuff from space, but not this game, unfortunately. So we're just gonna have to work with what we got, and let's set this guy to auto survey. Let's build a new science ship so we can get a little bit more surveying as well, and we can now also, it's worth dropping this tiny bit of unity to reform our government. I think we can even drop functional architecture now and go for something really funny. I completely forgot to take statecraft, by the way. That's a big mistake. I should have statecraft. Oops. I would take statecraft probably over discovery, but this works too, right? Like both these options are fine. There's not really a huge difference between these variants. So let's go ahead and I completely lost my train of thought. What was I doing? Oh right, I was reforming my government. I think so. First of all, we're gonna go oligarchic. We go crowdsourcing. But more realistically, let's just go merchant guilds and what? Should we actually go crowdsourcing? No. We need unity from factions in order to actually ascend in time. So let's not go ahead and do that. I don't want to go memorialist. I already have a Talk 10 monument. Catalytic. Don't have food. So we could just stick with functional. Or we could just go meritocracy, get that little bit of extra specialist output. That's probably the right play here. So let's go ahead and do that. And perfect. Let's go ahead and put a Minister of Research in. Definitely one of those. We want a Minister of Trade. Principal Instructor will be very useful later on. And then we are still waiting for our council to expound the first time because we forgot to take statecraft, and that's perfectly fine. Because we're still getting value out of our other civics or our other traditions, right? These are all good traditions for knights. Right, you can drop unyielding for statecraft, you can drop diplomacy for statecraft, you can drop one of these for prosperity. I would say all of those are great options. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what would be the absolute most efficient way to play knights. It's not it's not going to be 100% solved, I think, mostly because Knights is never going to be a build that's commonly played in multiplayer games, both due to its weak earlier game and the fact that it's banned in almost every lobby because nobody wants to deal with its late game. So, yeah, Knights will be banned in basically every multiplayer lobby, and the result is... Why are they swapping positions like that? Okay, that's just funny. And the result is the build will never be fully min-maxed, and we'll never discover the truly most optimal ways to play Knights are most likely not going to be discovered. But I mean, that's okay, right? That's okay. We can still enjoy the build that is close to the max and still pretty strong. And I think we can go back to a little bit of a faster speed now that the year 10 election is done, and we're kind of through the first kind of complicated bits. And at this point, our basic economy is finally starting to take off, and we can go ahead and max out this energy trade, probably to 30 or to 40. And the reason for this is we're going to want to start relocating more and more Alaris to our habitat here and just building this up at maximum speed. We also want to put a medical center on it, otherwise we're going to start to bleed too much stability as our amenities go more and more negative. And we're going to want a medical center on it anyway at some point, right? So, and beautiful, we get colonial centralization. We want to take that as soon as possible. And also, that means my monument is finished, so we're going to go ahead and put a monument in as well. We only have a few civilians left, but the monuments are just generally very powerful buildings anyway. They also increase your unity production, right? And I guess I should build a monument on here too, right? Isolationist, 10%. Planet modifiers, 5% unity from job. Yeah, I think that's worth it. That's worth it. I'm just going to click one of these. Not too important to make sure we max that out. Director of Trade. Another level. Oh, we can get a nice alloy gift. So if we ever happen to find the text for Arc Furnace or something like that, we can definitely get a pretty good value from that. And we can take Evolving Society now to try to max out our Unity speed, because as you can tell, our Unity speed at this point in the game is really quite poor, because I think have our factions refounded yet? They have, but they have truly despicably terrible happiness. By the way, for this first quest event, I don't think it matters what you click. I just click the first option every time, so maybe the other options are bad. And then we can go ahead and add research. Why are these? Oh, they're not happy because there's no xenophiles on our council. Oh, okay. Is there a xenophile leader here? Okay, let's go put a xenophile leader on there. And, well, our entire council is egalitarian. Um, is there a way I can make this a little bit less biased? Um, Xenophile. Do I have a pacifist leader anywhere? We can put a pacifist leader over there in the principal instructor slot, and I believe we should have a little bit more unity from factions now. Yeah, because what we had before was kind of gross. So sometimes you have to micromanage that, but most of the time it's okay. And ooh, we need to take this system fast before somebody moves into our area, which could get pretty ugly. So I guess I need to start microing my science ships before everything goes awry and terrible. Also, as you can see, these bastions are now producing an okay amount of resources, which is nice. Mineral purification, nebula refinery, nice, and sign an envoy. And oh, we're not remembering to build this. Oh, it's fully built, so we're just going to start to put strongholds in instead now. And basically, the next thing we want to do, right, is our habitat tech has finished. So in order to get more, we're going to have to take, once our next tradition tree finishes, what we can do is take the habitat perk, Voidborn, and then our habitat will be expandable again. But for now, we can also just spam strongholds. I really hope we get this system. Usually the AIs have these science ships way in front of the construction ships, so I'm not too worried. But I want to be careful anyway, because they could be ugly. Oh, that was a really fast survey too, whoa. There was like nothing in that system. So yeah, let's go ahead and get that back to auto surveying. Oh, that's a dead tech roll right there. We have a lot of alloys at this point as well, so on our capital we don't have to build, I would say, anything else at this point, and we can really focus in on other things. Also, let's go down to a little bit of slower speed here so we can spend these resources a little bit more efficiently. And we can take Voidborn. I think we just queue up a couple of these order stemses. And let's also take a look at our kind of close by neighborhood and think about what we want to do, because we definitely want to build out more of these star bases, probably just keep it maxed, to be honest, right? We have so many alloys that have been building up, but I just haven't been playing very efficiently. We have a really strong basic economy compared to my test run where I forgot to reform into mercantile, which is funny. Or merchant guilds, my bad. But with merchant guilds, man, is the trade efficiency really good. And the knight efficiency is also pretty good. So yeah, we should be starting Ascension in like probably like 3 years, which is not bad because we're just gonna get so many more knights as well. Oh yeah, we're not even, these aren't even full, right? So we can go ahead and just resettle basically like a lot of our workers over, because we don't want basically any worker jobs, or more accurately, we don't need any of them. We don't need technicians, we don't need farmers. They're going to be producing so little resources with our pop traits that lower their efficiency, right? That we might as well just have them either as civilians or move over to our habitat. And we can even take the second habitat expansion now as well. And yeah, perfect. As you can see, now we have pretty good happiness here. And all is well, we're going to get more and more knights. And yeah, they're using up more and more alloys too. So I guess we're going to want to upgrade our city district at some point. Oh my god, there's people everywhere. Okay, let's just start kind of wildly settling out. Also just continuously building out these starports. So yeah, essentially this is what I'm going to be doing until I click Ascension. Since I don't want this video to be too long, I'm going to cut to that point. Before I cut all the way there, though, I think this is also about a good time when you're 1 or 2 traditions away from completing your tradition tree. This is a great time to colonize your first 2 habitable planets as well. This is just so that we're going to have a lot of planets ready. Is this an alien system? Of course, they did a border gore with us. You gotta love the AI, but yeah, I guess this is what I get for not building these systems up in time. Alright everyone, and with that, 3 tradition trees are done, and we can go ahead and open biomorphosis. At this point, essentially what you need to do is just go the normal mutation purity cloning path, and also there's a second option of going synthetic. A warning basically is that the synthetic path is much slower, but can potentially, from what I've heard, scale even better. So yeah, just FYI. And basically, when you go synthetic, you want to go synthetic virtual, and you can probably get the most tech possible out of your habitat in that way. However, I do want to warn that it takes quite a bit longer, so I would simply recommend Biomorphosis, and Biomorphosis is plenty strong. You already basically enter creative mode with Biomorphosis, so I really wouldn't worry about the marginal strength gains that you could get from virtual, even if you have double the tech. And obviously, this is not like machine virtual, it's synthetic biological virtual, which is slightly different. It basically, you get the virtual research focus policy, but you have pops like you normally would. So yeah, like I'm just letting you know that is an option, and it's definitely a bit of a pain to ascend into synthetic because you have to finish a very long tree of techs. And if you do go that path, I also would highly recommend. Also, it would be nice to have this black hole because I might need dark matter at some point, but it looks like I won't get it. But if I do get it, that's fine. If I don't, that's also fine. And yeah, I've kind of interrupted myself enough here, but yeah, yeah. Consider virtual synthetics if you really want to maximize tech. Otherwise, biomorphosis is plenty good, and it's pretty fast. You'll finish this before year 30. You'll almost certainly not finish synthetics before year 30 unless you're really cracked at the game and just manage your agendas really well. You'll definitely need statecraft for that as well. Otherwise, managing your techs will be a challenge for sure. Anyhow, we're gonna go through our biomorphosis situation just at a fast speed here. At this point in the game, you can probably have noticed we're kind of running out of pops, and this is why we need to ascend quickly, right? Because if we keep going without enough pops for too long, we're definitely going to start to run into some major problems. But for now, we have just enough, which is fine, and we're going to have to buy some expensive minerals, but that's also okay. We can make it work. Just remember to build out your star bases as well, because I think I've been slacking on that just a little bit. The reason I'm going solar panels is because we're going to need to buy so much energy otherwise. We might as well just use solar panels instead. Also, at this point, I do want to start looking for arc furnaces because arc furnaces would be extremely convenient. And what do we get here? Oh, okay, that's not a big deal. And yeah, if we take a look, also you can notice that our quest speed is gradually increasing over time. The reason for that is, well, pretty simply, the Knights of the Toxic God quest speed increases as you employ more and more knights, which is great, and we're going to keep employing more and more knights, so this is only going to get faster and faster and faster, which is really awesome. Also, you might have noticed I opened Prosperity. The reason for this is the biomorphosis situation is usually going to take long enough so that by the time it's done, you will have more than enough unity to finish an entire tradition tree, so you can usually take 1 to 2 tradition picks during the situation without too much of a problem. And we can finally also take Favorite Society. Favorite Society is going to just help our resources a lot. Look at this, 475 unity, 700 tech before year 20, and this is the strength of knights, right? Another thing you can do to boost your tech even farther is this is especially good to do once you run out of jobs, right? Which is basically the point at which we're at. We're running out of jobs at this point, and that is you build a research district, and you build one of each of the kind of basic resource or the tech boosting buildings that everyone hopefully knows about now. The Unified Field Theory chain for this one, it's this little icon, for every single one of the techs. You build that building, just the basic one on each one, otherwise the upkeep goes up too much. And they work on knights as well, because why not? Basically every job efficiency bonus you can think of that works on bureaucrats and researchers work on knights, and I believe in addition to that, things that work on soldiers work on knights as well. I wonder how well Reanimators works with knights. I have no idea. Unfortunately, they don't work very well with Reanimators doesn't work with Guardianship, which is really sad because that would be one of my favorite combinations in the entire game. But unfortunately, it doesn't work. So yeah, what can you do? Also, our mineral situation is really bad, but don't worry about it because surprisingly, we don't need to build very many more buildings in our capital, right? Essentially, all we're going to be doing is occasionally adding a commercial zone, and to be honest, as our buildings level up and stuff like that, we might not even need it. We might not even need the extra minerals, which is pretty crazy to say. And And this is exotic gas extraction, which isn't the tech we need. We need the exotic gas refinery, so we can go ahead and skip that. And you do keep in mind, if you're really struggling for minerals, of course, you can just go ahead and employ some miners. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, this is going to be pretty slow, so I'm going to go through the biomorphosis situation, right? For the flexible traditions, at the end of each stage, just remember, mutation, purity, cloning, in that order every time. So yeah, we're going to skip until this is closer to finished. Also, as our next quest reward kind of comes just about now, I kind of want to mention, in case you want to know which buttons to click for each quest reward, I have encoded this in the document below. And basically, how I did it is, if it says, if there's like a number, right, that only applies to options where there's more than one button to click, right? So, for example, in the previous quest option, we obviously want the tech, so we just go ahead and click the tech. But if there's multiple options and you don't know which one to click, go ahead and look at the guide, and it'll tell you which number you need to click in that quest reward. So yeah, hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory. I explained it in more detail in the document itself. However, yeah, if there's only one option, just click it. Obviously, you have no choices, and I don't encode those no choice options in the document because why would I? That's a bit of a waste of time. So yeah, if there's no options, or if there's only one option, just click on the only option you have available. And if there's multiple, then you can refer to the guide, and it will tell you which option you need to click to get the best possible results. I've also mentioned at the end which results you want, right? And what the best possible reward is. And if you don't get the best possible reward, then you messed up and probably need to load a save or try again, or just play with the suboptimal result. That's obviously fine as well. You don't need to be a sweaty min-maxer like I am. So yeah, I just want to quickly mention that before we continue ascending. And look at this, we're already at 1200 tech at year 21. All right. Here at year 27, we found our auto-curating vault. This is a pretty good timing. So basically what I'm going to do now is I've already built a crystal plant on our capital. We're going to go ahead and enable that. We have to be very careful about which crystal plants and such we have enabled at any time because our basic resources are terrible. Oh my god, did we get gang war? No. Okay, that's plus crime, which is not the end of the world. But yeah, if we get a negative stability event here, it's going to be bad. And yeah, the reason we have crime is because we got a little bit of a crime corp on us. So yeah, I have to burn like a couple hundred jobs or just a few pops on fighting crime. But that's okay, because once we have the auto-curating vault, we're going to have access to one of the most insanely awesome and broken combinations in the game. I don't know where I'm going to put the auto-curating vault, to be honest. Because all our basic districts are full. I guess we have to replace... No, I really don't want to replace the medical center. Oh, that's so bad. Can we put it in Ordersall? I really don't know. Can Ordersall take police buildings? Or can they? No, they can't. So it has to... If I replace the Hall of Judgment, we're going to get crime. Oh, dear. Well, this is funny. This is a predicament that doesn't normally happen. But, yeah, we're going to have to figure it out. But basically, once we get the auto-curating vault down, we get this a really cool effect, and I believe this is the quest reward number 3. So according to my document, the first thing you click 1, and then the second one you click 2, and then we should get the best possible outcome. And very, very nice. I don't know what to take here. I don't think we need any of these. Let's just take something cheap to roll that tech through. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to get this on. And I guess we'll just replace this, right? Like, we have no other real choice. We sell a few consumer goods, buy a few of those, and this is nice because we can reform into Megacorp. We're a bit ahead of schedule. We can't even reform our government naturally yet. Speaking of which, now we can. I think what we're gonna do is, yeah, we're just gonna replace this because this building is amazing. Let me just, yeah. Basically what it does, I probably interrupted myself last time I was going through this, is now my bureaucrats will produce 1 extra of trade, or unity, science, and each science, right? Which doesn't seem like the craziest thing. For the amount of upkeep it has, definitely not worth. But this flips completely when you reform into a megacorp. Of course, we're going to have to disable this building until we can reform, but that should be in just 11 months, so these things should line up in timing pretty well. And then on our capital, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to replace this commercial nexus with a civilian industry. Because we're going to need a source of consumer goods that is pretty significant because we're not going to have enough consumer goods otherwise. So yeah, like this is, as you can see, this is also the point in the game where your economy, I would say, probably gets the most difficult to manage as it gets really, really close in a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like we barely have enough consumer goods, we barely have enough uh, any basic resource at all. And yeah, this is just what it's like before ascending. So we're going to wait until all that's done, and then we can go ahead and fix up our empire. All right, it's time to become pure. So we're going to go ahead and take purity here. We're going to reform our government in a second. I just want to get this galactic administration done. Right, perfect. And now what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to become a megacorp. And we can get rid of all of these things now. And I think, I'm not exactly sure what we want to go, but we definitely want worker cooperative, right? I don't think we need to go anything like farm estate or anything like that. It can be nice getting a little bit of extra trade from that. Yeah, just a little bit of extra trade, a little bit of extra pop growth speed. I mean, it doesn't do much, but we're not going to be needing much. We can go catalytic recyclers, but then we won't have enough food, typically speaking. So I like to go something like literally decentralized R&D, and then the next thing doesn't matter as much. Could go trading posts. Like there's just so many options here. I think, you know what? I don't want to go mutagenic luxury. Let's go farm estate for now. We can swap this out later for something else when we think of something better that we want. But yeah, for now, I think this is fine. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to put in a head of research for sure. We probably want a pharmaceutical executive, get a couple extra scientists, you know. Umpire of ideas, an extra scientist, another one on top of that, and probably just a minister of state. I don't even want a minister of defense at all because we don't need that to have tons of naval cap anyway, or more naval cap than we can realistically use. And then we can go ahead and start taking some of these purity things. I think we're going to be like 1 short. Yeah, we're 13 months short because we're a little bit early on the government reform, if anything. But we can already make a new species, right? And essentially what we want is you definitely want fertile. You always, always, always want exotic metabolism. And after this is kind of where it gets more interesting. And I think one of the things we can do also is just take off something like non-adaptive. That's probably the worst trace we have here. We probably should have repugnant instead of physiological infertility, to be honest, or non-adaptive. But oops. I think it's probably natural machinist here, or it's robust. I think what I might do is we could drop Cranial Mega Trophy for Robust, or we could drop it for Erudite. But then we have a trait point left without a trait pick, which is definitely a bad feeling. Yeah, tough choice. I'm not exactly sure what's better here. Maybe it's Chromologs drop for Cranial Mega Trophy. Okay, we drop Chromologs. We can drop Unruly. We're not planning on getting in wars. But you know what? Let's pick up Repugnant actually, because I don't think Repugnant is probably one of the better traits we can have at this point. And we'll pick up Robust. And I think, yeah, this is probably a better overall pop. Oh no, I forgot I do have the gases trait. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this looks perfect. I mean, if we wanted to go like a more min-maxed like tech build, we could leave chromologs and that kind of thing on there. But this is going to be fine as well. We're just going to set this as the default pop, and we can set these to integrate as well. Or the last option is, of course, you can just go ahead and literally just apply this template everywhere, and this should be a very fast project, simply because of the like sheer tech speed that we have. So yeah, we'll probably go ahead and do that, as we already found auto-curating vault. And now with the auto-curating vault enabled, this is going to produce our own trade, and this is when this build gets really, really good. And as you can see, we now ran out of consumer goods, but we have basic resources of the other kinds, and we can just go ahead and immediately build a civilian industry, which will accidentally bulldoze some buildings, so we're going to have to do a little bit of rearrangement here. And yes, we will go negative on consumer goods. It's basically inevitable. However, we can kind of quickly start building up our secondary planets here. So the larger of our 2 planets is going to be another consumer goods planet. or alloys or mix. So we're just going to build mixed industries because I don't know the exact ratio between the different resources that we're going to need. I'm not even going to bother to try to buy enough consumer goods to fix this. All we're going to do is just wait for the buildings to finish, right? There's not really much we can do about that. And to slow this down, we can go ahead and cut investments. This will cut our tech a little bit, but once this civilian industry gets online, we should be okay. We can go ahead and enable this gas plant too, because we're definitely going to need some more gases. We're definitely going to need to rebuild this gene clinic as well, but we're now producing trade from our knights. Let's take a look at how much. Yeah, 500 trade from our knights is just amazing. And that kind of solves a lot of our basic economy issues as soon as we can get these consumer goods situation fixed, which can be a bit of a hassle, but it's not going to be too bad. So awesome, yeah. At this point is where you just really want to rapidly start building up all your planets. I do not know what to do with Wankwort. To be honest, I might just stick with the 4 planets here just to kind of show you guys like a minimum planet set. I do believe 4 is probably the minimum planet set for knights. But you can start building more habitats at some point after you defeat the toxic god. So there's definitely a lot of options. And as you can see, we're slightly positive in consumer goods, but this is only when we're cutting investments. So as you can imagine, that means we have a long way to go before we're actually truly self-sufficient. But we can do some things like build the distributed design center, which we're going to need some more crystals to build. Wow, that is a really expensive building. Let's go ahead and just get that built. Should be very helpful, and then we can go ahead and build more city districts on this planet as well. And oh my god, it ate all our minerals just like that, which is a bit of a problem, which is also why you definitely need a kind of a bit of another trade planet. So that's what this other planet is going to be for. We definitely don't need to buy energy credits. We can actually sell energy credits. And yeah, we have a bit of spare food too, right? So we can also stop buying food, obviously. Don't need to buy food. In fact, we can sell a little bit of food. I don't think we can possibly use enough of this food, so might as well sell it. Don't need to buy those anymore. Yeah, just need to make sure we can keep buying minerals at this point because we're burning far more minerals than other resources that are being produced. And by the way, we're producing basic resources, in case you're not aware, through Worker Cooperative, which converts your trade to basic resources, which is very helpful for knights, which typically don't want to produce basic resources and waste too many jobs on that. But we should also be doing pretty well just in terms of pops now too, especially with perfection protocols active. Let's take a look at our pop assembly speed. Yeah, we're getting like 16 growth now, 22 on the habitat here. So yeah, definitely getting some good growth speeds. As you can see, there will be some problems with your consumer goods for quite some time, but we're going to go ahead and just work through fixing them. Right, it just kind of involves the very painful process of gradually adjusting your economy to what you need, and buying trade, or not buying trade, but buying stuff at ridiculous prices, which kind of is the thing that kind of sucks about trade. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just buy super expensive minerals so we can keep these planets building, and start optimizing them for the long term at this point. Yeah, stuff like this is gonna help a lot. Extra artisan building. I don't know why we're taking mineral subsidies. We're not producing a single mineral through basic jobs at this point. And yeah, once this world starts to get going, this will be, our primary source of alloys. If we had any extra planets, we would dedicate them, like half of them to trade and half of them to alloys. We do have these 2 planets here, so I guess, we might as well take them just to simulate a more min-maxed kind of build. So let's go ahead and start doing that. And it starts by buying really ridiculously expensive consumer goods items. And yeah, at this point, our economy should also start to snowball quite quickly, in the sense that right now it's not amazing, but now we have eugenic hierarchy, right, which is just another efficiency boost. We're also going to take cosmogenesis right away, and now we should really quickly get rolling. In a lot of ways, because that's going to boost our trade up a little bit more. As you can see, we just jumped in basic resources. That's going to give us more minerals to help us build faster. Building faster will get us more pops, and those pops will then be used to produce even more resources, and you can see how this is going to very quickly become very, very nice for us. One thing we definitely want to do is just keep building city districts as well. Make sure every planet is building, and you should be doing great. For my next tradition tree, I've decided to go statecraft. It's a little bit late, but better late than never. Start farming those leader levels. It's going to be definitely nice. We can take Research Institute and stuff like that, but we can't actually use it. It just costs too much consumer goods to upkeep. Like, I don't even have the basic Research Enclave stuff ready yet, so we're going to go ahead and do that as soon as we can as well. So let's just buy some minerals and brute force that into the queue, and we're over 2k tech now, which is nice. And in addition to that, we're producing almost 1,000 Unity just past year 30. And this is also the weakest that we're ever going to be as a fully ascended knight. So you can imagine where this is going. This is going to get a lot better. We have a solid basic economy now as well, with a stable amount of alloys and consumer goods, which means we can basically dedicate this entire next planet over here to producing as much alloys as we can and really start to build up that alloy economy. Yes, it does kind of suck. The alloy economy of knights starting out is just pathetic, I would say. Right, and there are definitely ways to have solid alloy outputs at this point, but they usually involve playing with pre-made trade empires and that kind of thing, or just being a lot better at the game than I am, or playing with something like catalytic reprocessing and just producing less knights at this point in time, and not trying to upkeep like the ridiculous number of knights that we are currently trying to do. But it's certainly fun, so we're gonna go ahead and just keep doing this, and we're definitely we have a pile of criminals over here as well, because we don't have an upgraded capital building, which is a bit unfortunate, but what can you do? All right, everyone. Here we are at year 39. We're definitely getting pretty strong. We're still having a lot of problems with minerals. I would say that it might be worth it to play this with a mineral planet in the mid game, just because of the sheer amount of minerals we need. The trade policy can't quite keep up. As you can see, we're barely making alloys and consumer goods, and yet we're still not doing too well on the minerals department. So yeah, it turns out mineral planet would definitely have been a good idea. A little late for that now, so we're just going to stick with the trade policy, but this will scale up to the point where it's pretty efficient at some point. Because there's just so many ways to scale the efficiency of trading compared to the efficiency of mining. So yeah, we take a little bit of a penalty here, but it's fine. We're still doing quite well, and yeah, we're also just completely reliant on trade, as you can see, to produce any amount of minerals at all, which is a little bit sad. But I mean, we're working on it. We're working on it. We can go ahead and start selling, like, just as much of these resources as we can. Just keep the minerals flowing, and once this trade gets a little bit better, then we should be fine. And I guess one thing we should do is we should definitely be cognizant about where we have civilians stacking up, and just moving some of these civilians over to this trade planet here would probably be a fantastic idea in general. I know we have civilians sitting around on a whole bunch of these planets. I just don't know exactly which ones because I haven't been microing it very well. And I guess we could just move some of the squires over to go fill the other jobs, and yeah, as you can see, this will improve our situation quite a bit. And I'm also just looking for the last tier, like protons or neutrons, and then we'll probably start building a fleet as well. I'm in no rush to build a fleet because, like, literally every second that passes with 4,000 to 5,000 tech, your ship design improves dramatically. It feels like so. Unless you're like imminently about to get into war or something like that, I generally just stick away from militarizing with this build until you absolutely have to or want to. But we're also getting to the point in the game where look at how fast the situation's going now. With 2.3 speed, I believe will be the next quest is going to reduce our or eliminate the upkeep, I believe already, because yeah, this is stage set. It will be on stage 7, so we'll be getting the quest reward 6, which is no upkeep for our jobs, which is amazing. We definitely want that. So onwards and upwards, I guess, and just, yeah, keep going strong at this point. Everything's looking rosy. One thing I've forgotten to do is one thing we can definitely do that we haven't is move our capital over to our habitat, move the governor over to our habitat as well. This will reduce our upkeeps quite a bit, and then we can just add some Ascension tiers, as Ascension tiers are extremely broken on the capital, and increase our output, decrease our upkeep, kind of everything that we want. And we can do the same thing on our capital, which is still one of our main planets. Just ascend it to the maximum tier. This will help quite a bit. As you can see, yeah, we're up to 333 minerals just like that, just from reducing our upkeep a little bit. As yeah, that's been a pretty big problem for us. So yeah, this can be a perfectly fine industrial world. I believe I want to go 3 for no upkeep. Um, and yeah, now our knights no longer have an alloy upkeep, and all of a sudden we have a strong military economy. Check this out. As soon as the turn passes, 255 alloys. Like, obviously, this is not like insane or anything. And if we wanted to be more insane, what we would do is we'd go catalytic in one of these civics, and then we'd have the opposite problem. We'd have not enough food and too much minerals. So no matter which one you go, you're always going to have some problem. They just pick your poison. I think I preferred catalytic in a previous run, but yeah, we're starting to get a good selection of Fallen Empire buildings here as well, so we can definitely start going into that. And yeah, Fallen Empire buildings comfortably at year 42 is definitely a sign that you are playing Knights. So let's go ahead and design our first ship, because we haven't made a ship yet. And I think we're just going to go with good old neutron cruisers. I don't really know what to put in these tiny slots, to be honest. Let's just go put some of those. Let's go with an artillery core and a kinetic battery. And then, sure, a Gauss cannon and broadside stern. I usually like to put swarmer missiles here, but since I don't have one, just put a laser, I guess. And then we can autofill the rest of the slots. Oh, nope. Yeah, autofill. There we go. Why does it have one tier 1 and one tier 2 afterburner? Let's just do something like this. Let's go artillery computer. Yeah, this is a pretty solid ship overall. And oh, it's because we don't have enough energy. We don't even have enough energy with a tier 5 reactor. That's crazy. Anyhow, let's go ahead and save this. And yeah, once again, don't have to copy my fleet designs. They're not the best in general. They'll beat any AI just based on the sheer technological overwhelming power compared to the AIs. But I'm not sure how they perform versus other like people-made ships these days, as yeah, ships have never been my specialty, but I've been especially bad at them if you don't go disruptor meta. And disruptors are definitely still pretty meta if you want to go disruptor meta. And as you can see, I'm kind of slacking on my buildings now. So this definitely could be played cleaner, right? If you remember to build up your buildings at all times, like, you'll be, improving at a ridiculous speed. But we definitely haven't quite been keeping up as much as we possibly could be. So yeah, do keep in mind there's even room for improvement on what we're doing here, which is 6k tech at year 43. And this is kind of the years of the game, I think, from year 40 to 50, where knights start to pull ahead of most of the other builds in the game. Of course, since we're only starting to build out a military now, we can't beat a build that can sustain a military earlier, like Overtuned, which is why I consistently, or I believe that Overtuned is definitely a stronger build overall. However, very soon, Knights will get to a point in technology where Overtune could never even dream of matching it. It just pulls ahead and never really looks back. And yeah, just take a look at this. And also, one thing we want to do that will help us a lot is you want to go ahead and get the galactic research focus and form the galactic market. This is relatively important, as you need a source of dark matter at some point, and it can take a while to find dark matter as a tech if you don't use the galactic market, and we're definitely going to try to use it. Sometimes nobody even in the galaxy has it because we play on small galaxies. If you play on larger ones, somebody will usually have dark matter. So yeah, we're just going to have to try to find it. I gotta say, the acceleration of knights in this era is like truly like mind-blowing, in the sense like we're getting Fallen Empire technologies like crazy now. These techs are going so fast that like I'm kind of preoccupied with just doing the techs, and meanwhile our basic economy is like, I have planets sitting around not doing anything. Of course, I've queued everything up now, but like I've noticed that I've had the planets probably not building something constantly for a decent amount of time at points, which is definitely not ideal. I mean, like, this could be clicked into an Ecumenopolis as soon as we get enough minerals for it. So I guess we might as well just dump other basic resources for now into minerals. Of course, this mineral buy price is at a ridiculous amount, so we can't quite get it done yet. But yeah, we should definitely build some extra storage as well. We could probably get some Fallen Empire storage as well. That we definitely need some of that. Tale of Jelstra entering the station. Worthy of what? Which quest is this even? 7? Okay, apparently 1-1. Yeah, we should get the option to expand our habitat now. Take the device, don't take the kiss. And yeah, now we just need 1,000 dark matter somehow. So we can't buy it yet. And once we can, we'll really go crazy. So like, I don't know the fastest way to try to get dark matter in the game. I genuinely don't. If you don't have the tech, and if you don't have a deposit for it, right? So this is going to be definitely interesting. Maybe the fastest way is literally just through cosmogenesis. Um, but we might have to go to war, right? We might have to like go existentially expel somebody in the galaxy and then use their pops to feed it into a synaptic lathe and then use that lathe. That's actually a great idea. Let's do that. Let's do that. So let's go ahead and build a synaptic lathe. So we're going to need to research it, first of all. So let's go ahead and change this over to synaptic lathe. And then what we can do is build a synaptic lathe, farm some cosmogenesis points, right? Because I normally just let the techs farm the crisis points, but it's too slow. But we need dark matter as soon as we can get it, as this will much more rapidly finish off our quest and just give us more and more tech, right? So that's definitely what we want. Not sure what to take here yet, so we're just going to go ahead and wait on that. And yeah, we definitely need some storage buildings, and yeah, we're just progressing so fast. Like I'm running out of words to describe what is going on. Obviously, the alloys are not amazing, right? But the ship tech quality is just like like these are immensely good ships. I adjusted it a little bit. These could be swarmer missiles or antimatter missiles, kind of thing. But I had terrible missiles at the time, so we can just go ahead and save this as the even newer ship design and that kind of thing. And yeah, our alloy progress is definitely not the fastest, but we are unlucky enough to not have orbital rings, I believe. I don't even think I have the tech. I don't think it's that I forgot. Yeah, I literally don't even have the orbital ring technology currently, which is a little bit sad, but we're going to get it at some point. I think we should start building some clone armies as well. This will slow down our first EC use, but it is not a huge deal. I think getting the Cosmogenesis tiers faster will be overall more important. Do get Aegis Complex and Aegis Bastion, though, which is super, super nice, as this will temporarily give ourselves a way to continuously make our habitat taller. I believe I need to re-enable the moats plant if I get this going, because I've had this disabled for a while just to save on some of these rare resources. But we have a second planet now as well, so we can go ahead and get even more rare resources on this planet at some point. And yeah, just put Apis Bastions everywhere will definitely expand our capabilities quite a bit. So yeah, let's go ahead and get those armies going, get this fleet going, and also I believe I have jump drives now, right? So let me just equip the jump drives. Are these ships currently being built or something? Why can't honestly, I think these are just better because they're such higher tier of. I think should we go torpedo computer as well? Yeah, probably. Let's go torpedo computer, jump drive, and I believe now we can update this and get the jump drives on. And then we can go to war, and we still need to build a synaptic lathe as well. So let's go ahead and find a system for that. Let's just put it in Alpha Centauri, why not? Oh, we're missing 15,000 alloys. So we'll be back in a bit. And it is just funny to watch the text go by this quickly. When I rolled orbital ring tech, it was literally 1 month. It was literally 1 month for orbital rings. Yeah, maybe we'll just be able to tech our way all the way up to dark matter. It's possible. Since we don't have a dark matter deposit, the only way to get it is through the Cosmogenesis building. I believe. So yeah, it's still going to take a while, but yeah, these orbital rings around our main planets should also help us with our alloys a lot, because our alloys are still not that good. And this is kind of one of the problems I find with modern Stellaris these days, is alloys kind of lag behind your ability to produce a lot of other resources, because there's just so few modifiers for alloys if you don't go catalytic. It kind of really encourages you to go catalytic, which is fine, I guess. Catalytic is nice. It doesn't hurt you in any significant way other than burning food. So yeah, I guess maybe I should have just gone catalytic or something, but if I haven't gone catalytic, and it's been annoying. And ooh, the last event. Honestly, the last event in this chain is Oh, this is not the last event, is it? Oh, it is. Is one that I haven't exactly figured out the best way. I think 21111 is pretty good, but I'm not exactly 100% sure if that is the best way to go through it. So let's just hope I do it correctly. Put a Minister of Defense in finally, and get our first advisor as well, which is nice. And yeah, as you can see, we're just the tech speed is just so insane. Maybe, ooh, Galactic Market, is it formed? Let's see if we're lucky enough to have dark matter available. No, it's just this is the first part of the chain, right? And the Galactic Market just takes so long compared to everything. I don't know why I didn't nominate my habitat instead. Oops. Well, just click 1 on everything. I'm pretty sure this is the best way through. Let the knights leave at once. I don't think we can slay the toxic god yet. Where is it, even? Normally it should spawn around now, right? Right, where'd it go? Is it not connected to me? Is it over here? Or did I click the wrong things and it's not spawned? And borders? Declare war. Wipe them out. Oh, okay, there we go. Ah, shoot, right, we got the tricks. I don't know if this is avoidable. It probably is. But there we go. We got the Toxic God. I don't think 30,000 will kill it. That's for sure. So we're going to have to sit here and build... Oh, Dimensional Replicator. Okay, looks like we can research that at level 4 Crisis. I didn't know that. Ooh, Military Academy as well. So that's great. Okay, if we can research that at level 4 Crisis, then we won't even have to do all the Synaptic Lathe Pulse. Instead, we'll be able to just kind of directly scale up and get it, which is definitely the more preferred thing. And we still haven't hit the biology researches, so I think I should change this over to biology by now. Yeah, I should have probably done that earlier. This can probably be changed to particles or something. And then I guess just Voidcraft, just try to find mega engineering as soon as the turn passes, right? Like, and Galactic Stock has changed. Let's get that going as soon as possible. And let's also just build an orbital ring everywhere that's possible as well, just to get the orbital ring buildings in on every planet. Should give us some nice bonuses. As I think by the time I get the Synaptic Lathe ready, since I didn't build it right away when I started Cosmogenesis, we'll already have Tier 5 Crisis just from doing research, which is fine, you know? Ooh, Galactic Commerce Hub, that's definitely something we want. There's so many of the Society techs we want to grab, and ooh, Infinity Thesis time? Oh, I have battleships ready, jeez. Infinity Thesis time, I guess. Let's push this Crisis level to 5. Why not? Yeah, I think the empires around us will stop liking us, but what are they going to do? Defeat us? Not really. Like, even though we only have 500 alloys, well, Dimensional Fabricator Tier 2, okay, I didn't know that. You could just get it, which is nice. We can start Ecumenopolis in our capital as well. A little bit late to start NECU, but hey, it's fine. We're still going to have perfectly fine alloys with 2 dedicated alloy planets. And very soon we're going to have, multiple dedicated plans for everything, which means our economy is just going to blow up, which is really, really nice. Let's also just make sure we're maximizing all these Apis Bastions. We should put a Military Academy down, right? Job efficiency for knights, yeah, plus 15%. Which building does it replace? Probably the Clone Vat, right? Yeah, probably the Clone Vat. Yeah, Military Academy and replace the Clone Vat, and then this can be replaced with a Bioregeneration Institute. And since Molecular Regeneration Institute, wow, everything is looking up for us. Let's go ahead and build a couple of these dimensional replicators now, and then we can upgrade them and start to get dark matter. All right, now that we have the Neuro Regeneration Institute, we basically want to put one everywhere. They are far better than the base building. They're far better than Clone Vats, obviously. We don't need Unity at this point. I think our Unity is basically... Our Attrition Tree is going to be done in no time. So we don't need some of those buildings anymore. So yeah, we can just start to spam these everywhere. This will get our pop growth up, which is definitely something we want. And yeah, just universal pop efficiency for purity empires is going to be really, really helpful. We're going to start to go absolutely insane once we really get this habitat online. 14,000 tech already at year 51. And oh, just you wait, this is going to get much, 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 much stronger. And we get battleships, so mega engineering should probably be our next tech role if everything is going normally. I believe our first dimensional fabricator is about to finish too, giving us a source of dark matter, so we can just go ahead and buy the 1000 dark matter we need to upgrade our habitat to like size 1,000,000, which is really, really nice. And we can also start like spamming these neurogeneration institutes on like our commercial zones, and we're going to need more exotic gases for this as well, but we're plus 30 gases. Let's just go ahead and buy even more because we have a bit of an excess of trade now. Yep, and there we go, mega engineering. Basically with mega engineering, you'll usually roll it immediately after you have battleships and citadels after year 50, because before year 50 there's like a negative of like 90% chance to find it, so you really are going to need a lot of tech or a lot of luck to find it on time. Is that enough dark matter? Let's go ahead and take a look. Decisions. Nope, we need 100 more, so pick a resource. Food. Goodbye. Oh my god, are we still short a little bit? Of course we are. Crystals. Goodbye. There we go. Okay, that was really expensive, but let's move this. Oh, wait, is that instant? Oh, it's instant. Nice. Okay, well then we can just go ahead and queue up all of those immediately. And very, very soon we should be pushing out some ridiculous amount of tech. And oh my god, we're getting the orbital rings as well. I've not been keeping up with those. Gotta upgrade those. Yeah, so many buttons to click all of a sudden as we're like crossing over year 50. So yeah, this is definitely like a pretty fast-paced game, I will say. Galactic commerce hubs, right? We can get those going, but I really want to cover an entire planet with these molecular regeneration institutes, and yeah, we're so short on gases, which is kind of cringe because I think we have gas on literally a gas plant on almost all of our worlds. Let's put another one over here. I guess just make sure we have more than enough exotic gases, and yeah, more than enough alloys very soon. This is going fantastically. All right, everyone, we are basically starting to enter creative mode. We're not creative alloys yet, but creative tech. Yeah, basically there, right? Like look at any tech that's not like a Fallen Empire tech. They're like 1 or 2 months. But this is only gonna get better. Like basically every turn that passes, this night output is just gonna get better and better and better. Take a look at how big this habitat is. 33 districts. This is why it's so important to take Soul as a starting system. Otherwise, it'll be like 24. And why it's so important to get that habitat expansion done as soon as possible, because we're really pushing out an insane amount of tech from this habitat, and we can probably go ahead and start to build out our final endgame fleet. I believe I don't have tachyon lances yet, which is a little bit unfortunate, not a huge deal. One thing we're also going to do is, I think it's definitely worth it to just build a science nexus station, just for the tech speed more than the base output. So let's go ahead and build a science nexus site. And let's go ahead and design our ship that we're going to use to defeat the toxic god and call it a day. Probably something like spinal mount, particle lance, and then artillery core, kinetic, and then broadside of probably whirlwind missiles or something like this. And then we'll just honestly just auto-complete the rest. We'll use hardening instead of afterburner. Too many afterburners. Don't think we need that much tracking. Artillery combat computer, and perfect. Call it the Nyaz, and we can just go ahead and just queue as many of those as we need. We're not going to use the Fallen Empire ship designs in case you don't want to go Cosmogenesis. Do keep in mind, without Cosmogenesis, you'll have a lot harder of a time getting enough pops onto the planet. Like, the genomic researchers are a nice efficiency bonus, but you can get a huge amount of efficiency bonus from squires instead, right? So yeah, you don't even often need to go Cosmogenesis to get insane tech with knights. However, you will basically struggle and find it near impossible to get enough pops without conquest. And obviously, if you take over pops, it'll still be fine, right? You just won't be able to pick what kind of pops you get, meaning you'll lose some efficiency there. Not a huge amount, but yeah. In general, we're just going to be pumping out more and more knight efficiency as we go on, which is going to be very, very nice. And I don't know exactly also the amount of ships you need to actually kill the Toxic God, but I typically find that I need at least 200,000. I don't know if there's like a specific ship design that kills the Toxic God better than other ship designs. There certainly are. Um, just knowing Stellaris, right? But we're just gonna go ahead and wait for our battleships to mostly build out, and then I'll be back. We could obviously also turn on the edicts for that. I mean, we should have been abusing edicts a long time ago, um, because we're sitting on so much unity. But yeah, let's just go ahead and turn fleet supremacy on, and I'm not sure if there's anything else we really need. I guess we could turn on nutritional plentitude. We have so much food. I don't want to turn up the consumer goods usage though, right? And we can just ascend all our planets to maximum 5 for now, and then we can ascend them up to 10 once we get access to that through society techs, right? We're not getting the luckiest with these. Let's not do repeatables um, until we happen to hit uh, Ascension Theory. I kid you not, the next tech roll I had was Ascension Theory, so I could have maxed out my habitat here, but not a huge deal. Another min-max you can do if you want at this point is you can resettle pops that are piling up as civilians on your other planets, which is probably happening just given the extreme amount of pop growth that you might have at this point in time if you have Fallen Empire buildings, right? And you can just move them over to your habitat. This will boost your habitat's efficiency. And push up your tech towards I'd say the about 35k mark. You should be looking for a single habitat with Knights of the Toxic God. Of course, if you wanted super stack squires, you could make this as high as you want. You can make it 100k, 200k, like literally whatever you want. It just becomes really expensive alloy upkeep wise, and alloy is currently still our weakest resource relative to time. Most other builds could probably be over 1,000 alloys at this point, but we're a little bit lagging behind on that department, and our first Ecumenopolis is only going to come online very soon. And as you can see, we've definitely been slacking on clearing blockers and that kind of thing on some of these newer planets. I'm just going to turn that planet, by the way, into a storage planet. We're just going to store stuff on it. Yep, that's not an exciting use for a planet, but pretty practical. You often need a planet just to store things with, which is quite funny. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, I don't want to do repeatables yet. I want to continue. Just like get through the regular tech tree first. We're not quite done the regular tech tree, and like this is what I mean. It takes so much micro to not manually pick your techs at this point. They just go so fast. It feels absolutely insane. Yeah, our ships aren't building up very fast because our alloys just aren't high enough. But once we get this Ecumenopolis rolling, it should get a lot better. I just wanted to point out something that's kind of vaguely entertaining to me, but I just love the pop growth of modularity. Okay, not modularity. Sorry, what am I talking about? It's getting late. It is literally 2 a.m. in my time. But like, just take a look at these planets where I'm stacking up a lot of bioregeneration institutes, like Wenkworth here, right? I mean, the Wenkworth doesn't have a lot. 32 pop growth. Cirrus, 68 pop growth. Like, yeah, these pop growth planets are just so nice. You just cover them with bioregeneration institutes. You grow a ton of pops, and then you move them wherever you need, or you can just grow them directly on the planet you want. But sometimes you don't want to cover an entire planet with regeneration institutes. And you can see that our tech in the background is just climbing at like 1,000 every like a few months to like a year, which is just awesome as well. And yeah, this is the point in the game where this kind of pulls ahead of, I would say, basically all other builds and never really looks back. I do find maintaining the consumer goods to be a pain. There's always some resource that's a pain to maintain. One thing you could do at this point as well is it would probably be pretty worth it to drop out of worker cooperative and go back to a regular empire at this point. And the reason for that is at this point in the game, the benefits of the trade are kind of fallen off compared to just the sheer power of basic resource worlds. Like, I could just run this as a basic resource world and probably cover all the basic resources. So we're probably going to go ahead and do that. And then the other thing we want to decide is exactly what we would need to reform into, right? And one thing that we could do is we could try to become spiritualist. Let me see if I have a faction for that. Oh, we don't have a single spiritualist faction. Well, too bad. The reason why it's nice is if you reform into spirituals at this point, you can take Ascensionist, and Ascensionist is basically one of the best late game civics. Unfortunately, we don't have it, so we can just go ahead and go something like Merchant Guilds. Did we go Meritocracy here? I think we just go civil education, just because we really don't need anything else. Functional architecture would be fine as well, literally just for build speed, as that's going to be one of the bigger limiting factors now. Or we could just go meritocracy. Yeah, probably meritocracy, just 10% extra, a little bit of leader EXP gain. Doesn't hurt anyone. And then, yeah, I don't think this will hurt our trade too much at all, to be honest. Um, it'll hurt our basic resources quite a bit, but we have a few months to solve that. So let me slow down time a bit here so we can go ahead and start looking into how we're going to fix that. Let me just fill out my council first as well. Head of research. Don't forget the head of research, guys. That's probably the most important one. And let's go ahead and, yeah, let's get a mineral extraction going. Let's get an energy generator planet going. And yeah, we can just turn this into our basic resource world. We obviously need to stop selling a ridiculous amount of everything. Ooh, Astro Crater. That is pretty fun to see, actually. Pretty fun. And yeah, now that we're back in consumer goods mode as well, we can kind of drop the need for these consumer goods everywhere and convert them all into heavy industry zones. And that will be fantastic. And then, yeah, this is a much more vertical way to build consumer goods, as getting consumer goods from planets is a bit of a pain. But yeah, we're definitely need to sort out these basic resources before we go completely bankrupt, but it should scale pretty quickly. We're just limited by build speed at this point, right? So, and look at that, we're up to 30k tech. You know what's funny, right, is we're literally producing so much trade, we could probably literally just like buy like ourselves into the positives in most of these resources. Probably can't buy ourselves positive in energy credits yet, but we can get close, right? And we have 100,000 trade to burn, which is definitely quite a lot, and that is very, very nice. We get dark matter drawing as a technology. Nice. Also, we have a couple habitats. We're just going to go ahead and colonize them, as we'll probably turn one of these habitats into a tech world. Look at this planet, by the way. It's up to 30,000 tech. And we don't even have this maxed out. Like, we can go ahead and enable this now, and just get an even more insane amount of tech, and we still have more consumer goods than we can possibly use, right? So we can finally start to upgrade these buildings. We probably have more rare strategic resources than is practical as well, which is nice. I don't even know what I'm researching at this point. I'm just clicking buttons. This is definitely the point in the game where I should probably take advantage of the following, which is just going in here, research restrictions imposed, and then I can enable auto research safely now, so I don't have to micromanage this anymore, which is really nice. And our basic economy is, we're just going to build up this planet as a basic economy world, right? And then we should have basically no problems with that. These Fallen Empire singularity buildings, I absolutely adore them. They produce such an insane amount of basic resources per building. I love them, so we're going to build as many of those as possible. We're still building up battleships as well. I don't really know how many we need to take the Toxic God. Like, we could try with this amount, to be honest. Let's just go ahead and try. Why not? These ships probably have pretty different speeds because they were built at different times and never clicked repair, so we're just going to also enable all the edicts, and we'll go ahead and try, and if we fail, well, we'll have to wait a bit and try again. Oh yeah, I forgot we could activate stuff like Will to Power and all these different edicts if we wanted to. We still have Ascension tiers to go, I think. So let's go ahead and add some more Ascension tiers as well. Oh, we're only at tier 8. And later on we can reform into Spiritualist, right? And with Spiritualist we could add, get rid of crowdsourcing or meritocracy for Ascensionists, right? So there is still like improvements to go, and we're still not even that far in the game, and we don't have an orbital ring on this planet. I just realized, so we're probably going to go ahead and build one of those as well. Orbital ring, this storm event or something is making that system look absolutely insane, by the way. We probably need to stop selling food as well, but we're up to 2k alloys, right? So finally, through what we've just done, we finally have found a way to kind of push the amount of alloys that we're really looking for out. Uncleared blockers less than 1. We still have blockers on this planet. Oops. So yeah, obviously there could have been things done better. Like, we have a couple arcology projects that we're only starting now. Just go ahead and buy 20,000 minerals straight up and just start another arcology project over here, right? Like, yeah, we could have had these going way earlier, but I just didn't get them done in time, right? So, little skill issues there. But yeah, once this planet is done building up, like, we'll have just stable basic resources. Pretty good amount of alloys for year 64. I'm probably doing better than in some of my test runs. So yeah, let's just go ahead and fly in now to the Toxic God and see what happens. Yeah, it's synchronized enough. Why not? Oh, you know what I should have done is I should have put admirals in. Oops. Well, whoops. Let's see what happens here. Cruisers go tank for battleships. Battleships hopefully have enough juice to clean up. It looks good. Looks solid. Okay, there we go. This is no god, slayeth thee, not so divine now, and basically this is where we've reached the knight's endgame, where we can now go ahead and go into any habitat we want and consecrate the habitat. And when we consecrate the habitat, then we can go ahead and turn it into like another one of these habitats that are like our main habitat that we can just go ahead and, you know, turn this into another knight's habitat. And all of a sudden, we'll be able to build knight's districts, and we can infinitely scale our tech. I mean, just this singular habitat here that is not even maxed out is, it's pushing 30,000 tech at this point, I think. Yeah, it's almost 44,000 tech from this one habitat. Absolute insanity. And we still have consumer goods to spare. We still have energy credits to spare. And that's our first habitat. So, yeah, I'm just going to go play on a little bit further. I want to get the basic economy stabilized just to show like that's not going to be an issue. And also just add some finishing touches to this planet, get up to 100k tech for a screenshot and that kind of thing. So we'll be back for that. All right, getting from 77k to 100k is going to take longer than I expected because this habitat is basically completely maxed out and this one is going to take forever to build up. So I decided that we're just going to call it here for today's episode. Overall, like, yeah, this is even stronger than the last time I played it just by making some optimizations. And oh, all of a sudden we jumped to 93k tech. Was I short on some resource or something like that, or did I just get an update? I have no idea. Well, if I enable this, I can hit it. So obviously, it's kind of cheaty because we have an unsustainable consumer goods shortage in that case. But these arcologies are going to finish in a second and give us access to unlimited trade. Right? Because currently our trade is still currently good, but not broken. Right? So once we have an arcology working on trade, then we'll actually comfortably have over 100k tech. So yeah, I guess we're going to call it here then. Overall, yeah, like fleet's obviously quite strong, but not the strongest. We have 126,000 alloys and counting, and rapidly increasing. So yeah, at this point, you've just entered creative unlimited pops by our regeneration institutes. Right, like on some of our pop growth planets, we're at over 50 pop growth, and you can get this even higher. You can get this like to the thousands if you really min max and like make an entire commercial world with just these buildings. But we don't need to do that. You can build as many habitat stations as you want. It is all amazing. So also, for your main habitat, you should be getting somewhere close to about 60,000 tech with biomorphosis, it seems like. If you're willing to stack squires. If you're not willing to stack squires, you won't get as high of an output, but it's probably worth it. The upkeep for these squires, 207 and 161 respectively, are not a lot of upkeep for 500% bonus, I believe. What are we getting from this? 1,100% bonus to our pop efficiency of our knights. Like these are just nonsense numbers, right? So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.